Sup, dogs?
G.
Yo, yo.
Homies.
Bark with me if you're my dog.
We should do this entire podcast in Ebonics.
I'd probably get about 3 sentences in before I'd have a stroke.
God, my webcam is on. I gotta turn it off. It'd be like Fringe. Have you ever seen that show, Fringe?
Fucking hate Fringe. Don't Fringe. Don't. God.
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing.
No, it's not. It's awful. Ah.
You and me, Johnny, do not agree on most things, and I've come to accept that. So no, if you think it's bad, then I'll probably like it.
Taylor, what's your opinion on the Zack Snyder movie 300?
Never seen it.
Oh, damn it. I was hoping we could gang up on Johnny, because 300 is a perfectly serviceable action movie.
No, it isn't. It's terrible. It's an awful, awful movie.
It's
Everything
fine.
about it is awful. No. Oh, God, no.
Johnny, you know what this is?
What?
You're speaking, this is madness, as they like to say.
I'll tell you something that this is certainly not.
What is it?
This is not the Let's Suck Off 300 podcast.
Can it be, though? Because, I mean, if you're gonna suck anyone off, have you seen the guys in 300? They're pretty dreamy.
Yeah. I mean, if you're into, like, greased-up dudes and, like, leather loincloths, this is your jam. Absolutely. If you're into other things that you would maybe expect in a motion picture, like character development, plot, conflict, drama, rising action,
It is a story. It's unreliable narrator telling a story to some troops. Why would he use any of those storytelling conventions?
It's because that makes for a better story to sit down and watch. Just because you can make a movie about an unreliable narrator who's all like, hey, we throw our own babies off cliffs, doesn't mean that, like...
I feel like you're stuck on the whole, like, the values dissonance thing. Like, you're projecting our expectations onto a, like, fucking historical culture. Yes, they threw babies off cliffs because they're assholes, and that makes them awesome.
So I'm supposed to sympathize with these assholes? Like, the first thing they do out of the gate is be like, we're a bunch of jerks. We throw babies off cliffs. And I'm like, you throw other people's babies off cliffs? And they're like, no, we throw our own babies off cliffs. And I'm like, you're the good guys?
Well, first of all, maybe it's just me because I don't find babies sympathetic, so I actually was kind of rooting for the people throwing them off the cliffs. But even just discounting that, so what? I don't know. Who cares? I don't expect all of my heroes to be morally upright. It's nice to have some baby murderers every once in a while. Throw in some variety.
Johnny, this is the guy that likes a game where the main character shoots himself in the head to fight. So does it really surprise you that he enjoys movies about guys throwing babies off cliffs?
No, it really doesn't. That and I'm used to Austin coming to me and saying, "Hey, Johnny, I really like this terrible thing." That's an experience I'm used to now. Unfortunately, though, if he comes up to me and says, "Hey, Johnny, I really like this terrible thing, but this terrible thing isn't terrible. It's actually really good." I draw the line. I'm like, "No, Austin, you are allowed to like terrible things. That is your right. That is your prerogative as a citizen of the United States of America. But do not, sir, do not get your rights confused with your right to say that Zack Snyder made a great movie when he made 300, because it wasn't a great movie. It was an awful movie, and you shouldn't watch it, even though you like it, Austin."
I got to butt in here. I have a bone to pick with Taylor. Am I supposed to believe that those motherfuckers snuck their goddamn scooters into Junez every time?
Yeah, you just have to suspend your disbelief, maybe.
I'm sorry. It's already ridiculous that they're bringing swords into a department store on a daily basis.
And they got arrested for it.
Once.
Nonetheless, they got arrested.
Did somebody turn over 2 pages at once here? Because we were talking about something that I was, like, on track with, and then that changed.
Don't worry, Johnny.
Did I just have a small seizure? Did I black out for a second there?
It's our Japanese video games. It's just like our Japanese animes.
That would be why I'm confused. You guys are talking about video games.
See, Taylor, you could tell it was a shitty plot point because I cut it out of the anime.
What, the scooters?
No, the whole sneaking shit into Junez.
I guess. Like, what would the point of that be? It's like, oh, let's sneak stuff in, and then we'll jump into the port. That would just be kind of a pointless scene.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, really? Something in Persona 4 is pointless?
You just have to accept
What?
it. And
Huh?
you just have to accept it. Just accept it as a thing.
Uh-huh.
One minor detail compared to 30 plus hours of dungeon crawling where Persona 4 is clearly superior in every way.
Okay, we're not starting this again.
Because he doesn't want to admit he just lost. That's okay.
No,
We'll go on.
Poor Johnny. I don't want to leave him behind. He wants to talk about half-naked, muscular men. We can do that too, Johnny. Don't worry.
All right, that's cool.
300's pretty good.
No, it's not.
It's pretty good.
Fringe is good.
No, neither of them are any good.
You're just a wet blanket, Johnny.
You guys are like a cultural wasteland. Do you know that? Like a barren desert scape of no redeeming, life-sustaining cultural quality whatsoever.
Whatever.
You and your free health care up there. Go have a bag of milk or something.
I cannot. That is not a bag of milk. Does not compute. Moving on.
They don't do it so much anymore, but yeah, I guess that was a Canadian thing, wasn't it?
Yep.
When I lived in Ontario, it was like, bags of milk. Oh, that's weird. It's been ages since I've had to, use a bag of milk.
Oh,
My whole childhood is coming rushing back to me.
So the next thing...
I remember being very, very confused as a child. Marty McFly is like, what the hell is a gigawatt? I'm like, yeah, what the hell is a gigawatt? Do you mean a gigawatt?
You've said that so many times that it's lost all meaning. Now it sounds like a racial slur.
You're a gigawatt. What do you think would be a racial slur for?
I have no clue.
Let's.
You want me to rope this back into video games somehow?
Somebody from the Baltic area, I think.
Is there a video game in which someone uses gigawatt as a racial slur, Taylor?
No, I'm just saying
Not
that.
Quite, but there was a game that Kotaku pooped all over today. It was called Space Coon.
Oh,
and apparently coon is a racial slur for something, and so they wrote an article about it, and I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Did you not know that, Taylor?
I had no idea.
Word for darky.
Probably why they didn't call Sly Cooper Sly Coon.
Yeah. It's so weird to me, these cultural differences.
Is this one of those accidental racist things that I've been hearing about? Or is this like an actual, were they like, yeah, we know we called our game Space Coon. White song?
No, I think it was an accident.
Really, yeah.
Apparently you West Coast people just don't know about all of our old-timey slurs.
You in the South. You guys probably got slaves still.
Well, now we just use the Mexicans.
Yep, that's what we do. No, you guys have the Cubans down there in Florida.
I'm predicting that if we continue along this line of conversation, that this podcast may take a fairly dark turn. Darker than it's already turned?
What? How much darker could it get, Johnny? Are we going to actually plan to enslave some people?
No, man, we are a hop, skip, and a jump conversationally away from starting to talk about, the international sex trade here, and that's going to be the death knell right there. Didn't
you hear last time on the podcast I'll pull it up, but I joked that we had jumped the shark?
Yeah.
And someone on the YouTube comments had a really good rebuttal to that. I hope I can find it real quick.
It was like hurling barracudas.
Yeah.
While riding unicorns. I was like, yeah, I could see myself doing that. Even more, I could see myself painting a giant mural of, you, myself, presumably Leon, Taylor now, maybe, and possibly Chris Larios, all riding unicorns and hucking fish at whatever.
Yeah, we went straight to hurling mutant barracudas at orphans while riding unicorns, totally skipping any shark jumping.
See, that belongs airbrushed on the side of a van somewhere.
Dude, did you see Shodanimu?
I did, Shodanimu. That was pretty amazing. That, made my day. That did.
Unless we say something, really fantastic in this episode, that might be the title card, because that's just too good. I feel terrible about myself in every way, having seen that.
It was off the hook.
So that's just made you think, because you said just drawing a mural of us throwing mutant barracudas. It's like someone could do that shit.
Legit, yo.
Anyway, I guess we can start in a minute. Taylor, did you finish Fire Emblem, or you said you got married?
I got married. Yes.
How come
Her
I
name is
wasn't
Anna.
invited to the wedding? Wait,
You
are we
can make
talking about
yourself-
video games again?
You might be.
But you didn't finish it, right?
I did not finish it. I'm at a battle where I don't even know if this even rings any kind of bell. So there's a battle where you cross the ocean.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then I did the next one, and then I'm at the one right after that. So it starts you off, and it splits your team into 3 parts,
Mm-hmm.
and you go up into this castle.
Yeah, I know you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Austin, you've really got to stop using this podcast as an enabler for your Fire Emblem problems. Okay, everybody be cool. This is a Stick Up, the podcast. Hands in the air, all of you. All right? Okay, now, stay calm, everybody. Nobody be a hero, and everybody's going to come out of this just fine, okay? Hands in the air. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you in the shirt. Yeah, hands up, buddy. Good. Okay. All right. So, here's the way it's going to go, okay? My buddy here, Austin Yorsky, is going to go around and collect any wallets and or valuables you might have on you. Meanwhile, my friend over here, Taylor Hoyt, is going to be keeping a close eye on anybody who may or may not be calling the cops. Because Taylor hates cops, don't you, Taylor?
They're the worst. I'm going to shoot
All right.
them all.
So, now, phones in the bag, everybody. Austin?
Wait, do I get to shoot people too? I want to shoot people.
Well, I guess you can.
Is that going to mess up your plan? Because
No.
I just came here for the violence.
No, I mean, your role chiefly will be collector of valuable things, but as this is a multi-layered, deep enterprise that we have embarked upon, I had hoped that you guys would have a wealth of problem-solving skills to draw upon should we be confronted with some kind of dilemma that requires us to improvise against the plan in the first place. So...
I mean, I know the collecting the phones thing is so no one calls the cops, but I mean, do you make any money off that? Who buys like shitty stolen cell phones? Is that a thing? Is there a market for that?
I think so.
Probably, maybe older phones. I don't think any new phones, because new phones probably have, like, GPS locators and, like,
Yeah.
And if you use those phones, the cops will be like, there.
Yeah, I feel like you just have to throw the cell phone sack out on the way out of the bank. Or what are we robbing? Are we robbing a liquor store? Is this a bank?
I don't know.
We're just robbing the listeners.
Yeah, why not? I feel like it's really doing them no more damage than we usually do by having them listen to the podcast on a weekly basis.
Give us an hour of your time and no one gets hurt.
I'm sure there's been a little bit of psychological trauma in the past from, some of the episodes that we've done, so...
This hostage situation has turned into Stockholm Syndrome.
Stockholm Syndrome?
Yeah, so now at this point, they don't know why, but they've come to rely on us.
That's more of a responsibility than I'm comfortable with.
You guys are getting a little bit clingy.
But, still keep your hands up, please.
So, I know you guys don't want to talk about video games, but I've been playing some video games. Have you guys been playing any video games?
I got to play a couple of video games.
Taylor?
Yes, I have, indeed. Quite a few of them Vardio games.
Oh, yeah, you played one of the games in our news story. Do you guys want to talk about that one first? What are we going to talk about? I'm sorry if I derailed your heist, Johnny.
No.
I know you planned it. It was like Ocean's 3.
You stole my heist, Austin.
I double-crossed you. I shot you in the back, and I made off with the loot.
There wasn't any loot yet. You didn't, you were the one that was supposed to collect the loot, and if you didn't collect the loot, you're not getting away with any loot.
I didn't say I was a good robber.
So what you're telling me is that we showed up, you shot me in the back, and ran away.
It was more like a public execution.
Good grief, man.
Hey, everybody watch this. Damn.
Mind you, I have played a couple of games of Payday, the heist, that have actually worked out like that.
Oh, there's that new game, Monaco. Have you guys seen or heard about that? We gave it a 8.
I think it looks great. The problem that I have with it is that it as much as I would like to play it, it's one of those games that I would absolutely demand that I play multiplayer.
Johnny's like, I don't like multiplayer.
No,
it means I have to talk to people.
No, it's not that. It's just that, unfortunately nowadays I have less time for multiplayer. Like, getting friends together to, sit down and actually play a game is more difficult for me these days. A lot of the people that I game with are in school currently, and,
Long story short, Johnny doesn't have any friends.
More or less, yeah. I guess.
See, that's why me and Taylor, we have a stable of social links, and that allows us to schedule multiplayer games.
Yeah.
You've got this figured out. Although,
Let me-
I will say about Monaco, maybe it's just me. Have you guys found the graphics a little
Awesome.
confusing? I'm watching the game, and I'm like, what is going on?
I mean, it has a style to it, so it takes a little getting used to, but I think it's awesome.
I would like to play it, yeah.
So that's that. Good video game talk, guys.
Good day.
All right. I'll see you next week.
All right, sounds good.
Or we can talk about other shit, and just that was the video game portion.
Shoes are pretty cool.
What do you guys think about the middle passage?
I don't know what that is.
That sounds...
Oh my god, Taylor. The public schooling system has fucking failed you.
Well, see, that's where you're wrong, Johnny, because I went to private school. I mean, Austin.
I didn't say that. That was Austin.
I know.
We sound the same, Johnny.
I recognize that.
I gotta put on a southern accent the whole time now. People can tell the difference.
And I'll talk like a Canadian, eh?
I can actually do like a sort of a southern accent, but not willingly. It's been impressed upon me. Do you really not know what the middle passage is, Taylor?
No.
Johnny, do you want to take the honors here?
The middle passage? I have no idea what you're talking about.
No, you're fucking with me, right?
No.
Oh my god.
I went to school in a different country.
Well, yeah, it's not your history. You would think that at least Taylor would know. It's the trade route that we brought all the slaves over from Africa. I was trying to be like edgy, and neither of you caught it at all.
Yeah, no, sorry. Did not do very much of that.
I'll leave that part in the beginning where we talked about slavery because it makes no sense. It makes it seem like I just brought up slavery for no reason, but we did talk about it earlier.
Yeah, we did talk about it earlier. So you're on point there. Kudos for keeping on message. Slavery, it's a thing that we talk about.
For some reason. Do you guys want to hit any other like controversial topics? We've hit pretty much all of them. We hit AIDS. We hit the Holocaust. We've hit keep murdering children. We had talked about murdering children in this episode already.
We did talk about throwing babies off cliffs, though.
Yeah,
earlier.
Infanticide right out of the gate.
Well, that's treaded ground for us, though, as far as I'm concerned. Like,
what about necrophilia? I feel like we haven't really gotten all of our mileage out of necrophilia.
That's true. There's not a lot of necrophilia going on.
So one of us is going to have to die for that conversation to continue because we have to have first-hand experience. I nominate Taylor.
Well, we've already established that I am very, very slowly trudging towards death in like the most prolonged snuff film that the internet's ever been home to. So I would really hate to rush that. So it's going to have to be one of you two guys.
I have a better idea. First news story.
All right. Well, news today comes out of a little publisher developer kind of combo that you may have heard of. We've spoken about them on the podcast a little bit in the past. I'm talking about Electronic Arts. Now the news
who is that? Who are you talking about?
Electronic Arts. They're this company. They're this California company. They publish video games. Is that you familiar with that?
I think I've heard of these video games. I may have heard of that.
Right. Well, the slightly more on-the-ball caliber of listener that we have for this podcast may be familiar with the name Respawn Entertainment. Respawn Entertainment is a development studio that currently is working in concert with Electronic Arts. Respawn Entertainment is particularly famous because it was the, I'm going to go ahead and say Fallout studio. Not studio that developed Fallout, but the Fallout studio that resulted from the giant nuclear explosion that was Infinity Ward and Activision finally coming to blows with each other. So Infinity Ward, developer of the Unstoppable Call of Duty series, you may have heard that Call of Duty creators and founders of Infinity Ward, Jason West and Vince Zampella, lawsuits, fucking names were called, people quit, bonuses were denied, people are getting sued, employees are getting stolen. It's pretty dramatic. In any case, Zampella and West wound up, after the dust settled, at Respawn Entertainment. And we've heard precious little from them at Respawn Entertainment since they started development of a new title, new intellectual property, a new franchise, dare we say. Well, some news hit the ground today from Respawn Entertainment. News being that this new game that they're working on which may be a game called Titan is possible. We don't know for sure, but Respawn Entertainment has trademarked the word Titan. So that in any case, Respawn's new game, which for purposes here, we're going to call Titan. All right, the Titan may not only just be the next game from creators of Call of Duty, but it may also be a console exclusive. Huh.
The real question is, what are we going to call the system this week?
I think this week we're going to call it the Microsoft Grackle Foxtrot. There we go. The Microsoft Grackle Foxtrot.
That's a lot to say.
Well, I'm trying to conjure an image of these two birds ballroom dancing with one another. Because
is that the logo?
That's what the logo is, I think. If they market tested that, it'd be like, do you want this bunny, this cat, or these two fox-trotting grackles? And people being like, oh, the birds, they're, aw, or something like that. So the Grackle Foxtrot. Yeah, so rumor is that Titan may in fact be a Grackle Foxtrot exclusive. Now, for those of you not familiar with this thing called a console exclusive, that would mean that it's only available on the Microsoft Grackle Foxtrot and no other.
If there's one thing that Microsoft needs, it's a exclusive science fiction shooter. That's something they don't have any.
They don't have enough of those, I don't think, right? They don't have any? I can't think of any.
No, nothing jumps to mind. Although, some of the details that have popped out about Titan do sound kind of interesting. Apparently, as Austin, I believe, let the cat out of the bag just a moment ago, is that it's going to be a first-person shooter. It's going to be futuristic. It's going to be sci-fi. But evidence suggests that it's also going to be asymmetrical.
It's going to have mechs, which I will continue my joke. Guess what else has mechs in its shooter on the Xbox exclusively?
I don't know.
Halo and Gears of War, guys, have mechs. There's mechs you can get in both of those games.
That's awesome.
You don't say.
I wish I was joking. This sounds like a lot funnier than it actually is. In reality, it's just kind of sad.
It does betray, I think, a lack of imagination.
Well, I heard, speaking of rumors, I heard a funny rumor that internal Xbox studios are like 6 months behind as far as releasing games for launch windows, so they're trying to get all these exclusives. So it kind of makes sense that this is an exclusive, if that rumor is believed to be true.
I definitely believe that these console manufacturers are pushing out their systems without any kind of sustainable lineup of software titles. Because, fucking Nintendo does it, so why not?
Are you suggesting that a console manufacturer would release a game console without having a strong stable of excellent first-generation games for gamers to choose from?
It's unthinkable, Johnny, but I feel like we may finally see it after, the 30 years this industry has existed, and every game console ever released has an amazing launch library. This might be the time when that streak is broken.
Good grief, man. Somebody get the history books and a pen.
Seriously, though, guys, do we think that from the makers of Call of Duty actually carries any weight?
Yay and nay.
Yeah, I want to say, well, yes. But then I also want to say no. That's some real in-depth analysis. I mean, I know that, But the reason why it has weight is because they are, the game is going to get advertised as from the makers of Call of Duty or from the creators of Call of Duty.
Yeah, guess what? It's going to be on the shelf next to Destiny. You know what that's going to say?
Yeah.
From the makers of Call of Duty and Halo.
So, okay, it may be a saturated market.
A day will come when half of the shooters on the market are all made by ex-Infinity Ward employees, just so they can say that. They're going to hire, the QA team to put them on some,
From the quality assurance team's best friend's adopted parent's cousin of the people who brought you Call of Duty.
Yeah, all that really says to me as a consumer is there's going to be shooting, and there's already a bit of that. Battlefield's coming out. New Call of Duty's been rumored. I think it was called Ghosts. Have you guys seen that? Call of Duty Ghosts?
Yeah, I was really excited for a a and then I realized that it wasn't actually a game in which you shoot ghosts.
Dude, I would play the shit out of
a Ghostbuster game. That would have been awesome.
That would, and mix it up too. I'd be excited. They should at least have it as an extra mode. How they had zombies and World at War and that really caught on? They should have a ghost busting mode.
That'd be pretty sweet.
I think it would work.
Yeah, I think so too. And so I want to say back to the point here. I do want to say yes because I think there are going to be a lot of people that are like Call of Duty. Wow. But then also no because like you say, that's going to be one of several games that are on the shelf that say from the makers of, and that shit just once you saturate the market like that, it's not special anymore.
Yeah, I mean, not only does it have to compete with Destiny, but also Battlefield 4 and the actual new Call of Duty. So why get from the makers of Call of Duty when you can just get Call of Duty?
I believe the market may saturate and dilute as a result. So
I don't know. I feel like this should be a bigger coup for Microsoft if it is true that they're getting an exclusive thing from this high profile creator.
Those two words that the internet loves so much do make an appearance here. Always online. Apparently, Titan is it's rumored to be an always online multiplayer shooter. So because people are flipping their shit about that. So, is this a sign of things to come? Is this a grim portent of an awful future?
Have we all just accepted that the Grackle Foxtrot is going to be always online, or are we still holding out hope that that's an exaggeration?
I think
it doesn't really matter.
Stupid.
It doesn't really matter to me one way or another, so I've kind of accepted it just by being like, yeah, I don't care. I know that they're going to do that.
Because, I mean,
it fits in line with Microsoft's business policy decisions right now.
I would disagree, but Windows 8.
Exactly. Windows 8 is an absolute clear example how they're becoming much more obsessed, not just with selling units and things like that, but actually managing the way that you use your software. The fact that they are still trying to sell Windows 8 to people, so much so, I got a buddy who just got into flight school. Today was his, first day. And Microsoft offers, special student rates if you're buying, a brand new computer and you want a new copy of Windows or something like that. You can be like, oh, I'm a student, and they will, heavily discount a copy of Windows for you. He investigated this and discovered that the only copy of Windows that they will sell to you if you're a student is Windows 8. They're trying to offload this thing so hard. But the whole thing is designed from, top to bottom to be more in tune with the way that, Apple runs their company. That is, having a hand in your day-to-day, computations. They want to control how you download, what you download, when you download, this whole Microsoft App Store thing that they're trying. It's all about more control. And there's no better way to control the way a person plays their video games on your console than by making it always online and requiring a secret handshake from the Microsoft servers before you do anything.
But Johnny, will it let me order pizza?
Will you get the Kinect-enabled version?
I really hope that...
That's the important part.
How do you... I thought I'm probably stealing this joke from somebody. How do you tell the Kinect that you want stuffed crust? What is the arm motion for that? I feel like it would be obscene.
That was my first comment when I heard that. I'm like, I wonder how you're gonna stuff the crust.
Oh jeez.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
So yeah, I think we've come to the conclusion that it's probably a done deal that the Grackle Foxtrot's going to be always online.
And if it is, people are probably still going to buy all of the exclusives. They're going to get the new Gears, they're going to get the new Halo, and they're going to get the new Titan if that is exclusive, as we are being led to believe. So
yep.
I don't know. We're just bitching at nothing at this point.
It does mean, though,
I'm so cynical.
It does mean that, that people may actually have to consciously make a decision, though, when they decide to get a cross-platform title for what console do they decide to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not sure how accurate it is to imagine this, but it seems to me, in these days at least, that the gamer is fairly affluent, and if they don't buy each console as it comes out, there's usually at some point in time, I'd probably say within a couple of years of the consoles dropping, that people do wind up collecting more than one console. And if that actually becomes an issue where I decide to release Bearded Daycare, the game, I don't even fucking know where that came from.
As opposed to the movie or
yeah,
the album or anything else.
The limited edition graphic novel printing. So I'm releasing Bearded Daycare to the Grackle Foxtrot and the PS4. Customers are probably going to have to actually make a decision about what they get their game for. And it's not necessarily going to be like, well, Bearded Daycare obviously has such a hefty multiplayer component, and the Xbox Live the Grackle Foxtrot Live is obviously got better infrastructure for that. Well, I'll buy it for that. People are going to have to make the decision, because if Microsoft rolls that console out of the gate and it's always online and it fucks up like every single always online project has fucked up in the past like 2 or 3 years, it's going to turn people off. And people are going to go, if they're not going to take it back to the store, all of those cross-console games for the PS4 instead. And you're going to see like a lot of PS4 game sales, I think, as opposed to the Grackle Foxtrot of Bearded Daycare and its impending sequel, Bearded Daycare 2, Nap Time.
Is it kind of wrong of me to just wish that some of the consoles had failed? I want there to be less of them so I don't have to buy them all. I want to see a shakeup. I want to see a financial shakeup in the industry. I want to see somebody make a decision that's not necessarily popular, that's kind of gutsy, kind of ballsy, that really wanders out onto thin ice and is kind of like, yeah, we're going to do this because I'm Hobo Steve and I'm the king of everything. And then people being like, well, you know what? Fuck you, Hobo Steve. I don't want to do that. And then not buying, a console, or like having it returned to the store in like epic numbers, or, I want to see a real upset. I want to see the gamer population finally be like, no, I don't have to fucking put up with this. So what? Fucking Titan from the guys who brought you fucking Call of Duty. There are 6 other games on the shelf that will do the exact same thing. And rather than wander onto the internet and complain about it after you've already paid the money, I've had enough of that behavior. I want to see something happen. I want the dam to break. I want the fucking levees to burst. I want the top 2 buttons of that shirt that's way too tight for that lady to pop. I think what you're saying, Johnny, is you want a new Sega console.
That could conceively do something. That could be, that would be a bit of an upset. That would rock some waters. That would,
I don't think the Sega has enough money in their coffers to manufacture a single one, let alone design anything.
No, you're probably right. I mean,
that'd be pretty sweet, though. If they just dropped it at E3, they were like, Dreamcast 2, deal with it.
I think people would collectively lose their shit.
Probably.
I'd buy one. Jeez, Taylor, shut up. We're trying to talk here.
Oh, sorry. Let me shut my mouth. I'm being worse than Leon over here.
No, why you got to bring up Leon? We just got over that. Now it's a fresh wound.
I don't know. I could really care less about shooters. I mean, we talked about this last time. I don't like shooters at all, so I really couldn't care less. I'm not going to buy it anyway, so.
Fuck those guys.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just curious, at what point in time your average gamer basically, draws a line in the sand.
You're not even talking about just always online, Johnny, right? You're just talking about, like, things that happen in the game industry in general.
Yeah, I want to. When I say that I want to see the floodwaters come, I mean like just about anything. Like, right now there's fucking free to play. There's microtransactions. There's like fucking always online. I want to see something get shaken up, because I'm not really pleased with the way that the industry's going right now. With this, it was very profitable for us, so therefore we're going to do it again to the nth degree.
Johnny, have you seen the emotions in the latest Beyond Two Souls trailer? That's the future.
I have not had a chance yet.
Oh God, it's so emotional. There's so many polygons.
Let me go get my iForks. Which I need to keep on hand whenever I watch a David Cage project nowadays. In case I want to stab myself in the eye with a fork.
Have you seen it, Taylor?
Is it the one where she's like, on the phone and it's snowing outside and
Yeah, there's that. There's a longer like gameplay version, although it's impossible to tell which parts are gameplay because it all looks like cutscenes.
Yeah.
Except occasionally a button prompt will pop up, despite the fact that David said there were no QuickTime events.
What I can't fucking understand.
He's clearly a liar.
Why the fuck did he take it to the Tribeca Film Festival?
That's what I said on Twitter the other day. I'm like, why is a game at a film festival? That makes no sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Who is he trying to sell this fucking game to?
Himself. To his inner child who always wanted to be a director.
I guess, I'm sorry, but I live in this world called reality where what you need to do is take your product and convince the people who would normally buy your product that your product is worth buying. What you don't do is, let's just, draw an equivalency here. What you don't do is take your prize bull and instead of taking him to, the fucking county fair and being like, prize bull, hey, you don't take him to a lingerie shop. Nobody's interested.
I don't even... The inside of your mind, Johnny, is just... What? No, I see what you're saying, obviously, that he's... Here's the thing, though. It's perfectly in line with things he said before. Remember, he gave that speech where he said that, he is the future of video games because he uses Hollywood actors and because he goes after, people who watch movies because apparently that's the only viable market anymore.
But what you were also forgetting, Austin, is that in that very same conversation, we concluded that he is fucking Nutter Butters. So, if there's anybody in this world that should not be listening to what David Cage is saying, it should probably be David Cage.
It's a shame, too, because his games are outright terrible. They're just flawed, and he seems to focus on the worst aspects of them when he hypes them, so it makes it seem way worse. Because, it looks like whatever. It's a perfectly serviceable game, and it has nice graphics, but it's just like every time he shows it, and he's just like, feel! I need you to feel! And then it's like, I'm gonna need some personal space here, David.
Yeah, I remember when he released that tech demo about the robot being put together that was, faulty. I was like, the robot has emotions. This is such a new and completely not tired story that I haven't seen a million times over called Pinocchio.
Yeah. And this is like... He keeps trying to dress it up as this groundbreaking exploration of this person's psyche, but it's just X-Men. It's just she has powers and everyone hates her because she has powers and she's special.
It's worse than X-Men, dude. It's like one of those bad television shows in the 90s that so obviously ripped off X-Men. Like what the Mutant X one was called? I'm like, yeah.
Generation X, I believe it was what it was called.
No, because Generation X was actually an X-Men,
I think that was what it was. I thought it was an X-Men spin-off thing on TV.
No, well, there was a Generation X movie, but there was a television show, I think it was called Mutant X. I'm going to look this up now on the Google. Mutant X TV series from 2001 to 2004. Well, actually, it does look as though it might have been associated with Marvel, because it's got Avi Arad's name on it. Yeah, all right, it might have been. But, there were fucking late 90s, early 2000, there were, a bunch of, mutant shows where teenagers were discovering they had powers, and it was just like...
Animals. Remember the Animorphs?
I do.
Oh, that was a book force, but yeah.
I do remember the Animorphs as well.
It's not even like X-Men. It's like one of those, is what it is. It's like fucking Czechoslovakian X-Men. Like one of those fucking bootleg action figures that you buy that's like, why men? Now with special laser option eyes. And you're like, that is clearly fucking Cyclops. But
We've all been there.
But they call him Beam Face, and you're just like, no, dude. That's fucking Cyclops.
Yeah. I guess we've just completely gone off on poor David Cage 1,000 times. I kind of feel bad at this point because he's not indefensible. It just seems like we only ever bring him up when he puts his foot in his fucking mouth.
To play devil's advocate for a minute, there was a thread on NeoGAF that said, I don't know how reputable the source was, but it said that Heavy Rain only took about $40 million to make, and then the game made $100 million or something like that.
Oh yeah, no, he made out like a bandit. There's no denying that. that it was a financial success. I believe all of his projects have been against all odds, which is cool. I think I'm glad we have someone like him out there pushing the boundaries of video game storytelling, trying to do something unique. It just sucks that he's not a good writer.
What's even worse is that he's completely unwilling to recognize the fact that he's not a very good writer. It's like, he's just like, well, I have Hollywood talent in my games, so therefore your argument is invalid. And it's like, no, you have some like real problems with the writing in this, David. And he's like, no, I have Hollywood talent in my games, therefore your argument, like he's even Shodanimu, is like perfectly willing to sit down and say, yeah, okay.
I fucked up.
I fucked up. That game had a lot of problems with it, and I can always respect Peter because he's on the level at least with games that he has produced. He will talk about his back catalog with a little bit of measured enthusiasm, benefit of hindsight. Like you can always trust him to talk straight about games that he's not necessarily trying to sell anymore.
Because you said when I was asking you about Homeworld, and you said you would trust Molyneux with it, but not Cage, because Molyneux actually has like a marble or two still rolling around upstairs.
Yeah, but David Cage, it's like he is completely unable or unwilling to see any faults in his game whatsoever. I mean, so much so the guy's got like 3 games that I can think of that are of note right now. Heavy Rain, Indigo Prophecy, and fucking Omicron. And that's like stretching back a while, because Omicron is like fucking like 13, 14 years old or something like that. So the guy's made like 3 games in the process of like 1.5 decades practically, And he has the gall to get up in front of an audience and be like, I am the future! And it's like, no, you're really not.
What is the future, Johnny? What is the future?
The future is not drinking the David Cage Kool-Aid. Is realizing that there's room for, like you say, Austin, that there's room for someone who's trying to do new things with storytelling and gaming and whatnot. But the fact of the matter is that video games are far too varied a product to lock down into like one way to make them. Not everybody is going to be David Cage. We're not going to see video games ever turn into like the movie making industry, because there are just too many ways to make games. There are too many games to make for it to be homogenized like that.
I mean, the future is, like, as you said, it's a variety of things. Look, the indie scene is the best example. You have, like, Bastion and To the Moon and Journey. Those are all doing really exciting things with narrative without, blowing a bunch of smoke.
Without capping fucking Ellen Page. And although I shudder to think what Fez, what's his name? Phil Fish. I shudder to think what Phil Fish would do if you gave him like a few $1 billion and be like, make a game.
Billion.
Just a one-man team. Like, what is he even gonna do with $1 billion?
I don't know, man. I just like that would kind of be fascinating, I think.
I don't know if I would even want, like, okay, I don't have any like particular affection for Phil Fish, but like I wouldn't give too much money to people I like, because a lot of the best work is made with restrictions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Born out of necessity, you have to work within your certain confines. Like, I wouldn't give Atlas $1 billion for their next, Megami Tensei game, as much as I love them, because they probably fuck it up.
Yeah.
It's just no one man should have all that power.
But that's the future, according to David Cage. And also feels.
So, speaking of the future of video games, did you guys hear that there is no future because pirates stole it all?
Yeah. Pirates have stolen the future. They have indeed. I was there, now it's gone, and I'm stuck in this shitty present with you guys.
Sorry.
Well, I am sorry, Johnny. I'll just leave. Damn it.
Well, you don't have
You're not allowed to leave yet, Taylor. I have to talk to you about things before you leave.
Fine.
Now, I am all for creative solutions to piracy. I love it when what was it? It was last year. Gary's Mod had like a particular error that only happened to like people who were pirating the games, and it was like people were going on the forums and being like, my game doesn't work and I keep getting this error, and he's like, okay, step 1, buy the game. I remember when Arkham Asylum first came out, in pirated copies of the game, they disabled the glide function. So you get to that one scene where like the room below you fills up with gas and you're supposed to glide from platform to platform and guys are just like plummeting into this gas and they're like, your game is broken, it won't let me glide, and they're like, okay, step one, buy the game. This next story is I think of the same ilk. It's painted a zebra of similar stripes. Game Dev Tycoon, which is a simulator from Greenheart Games, just released not that long ago. I think was it last week it launched?
Sure, why not?
I think it launched last week. In any case, it is it's a simulator game. Only instead of simming a city or simming an ant or an earth or a tower or a sim, you run a game development studio of your own design, and you get to, like, you know, hire people and programmers and art designers and all these things and make games. And apparently, if you have an illegitimate version of the game, your company starts to have real problems with people pirating the games that you make in this game, eventually leading usually to your studio's bankruptcy and having to shut down. So, of course, a number of people went to the internet to complain about how game piracy was a real big problem in their game that they're playing, not knowing that the reason why game piracy is a problem in their game is because they pirated the game. And unfortunately, they've actually got some statistics back, Greenheart Games, that paying players only make up less than 7% of Game Dev Tycoon's user base. So out of the some 3,300 or so users that have purchased the game, or sorry, that are playing the game, only 214 of them paid $8 for a legitimate copy. Now, Taylor, as I understand it, you were playing this game as recently as today.
That is correct. I am one of the lucky 200. Now, I don't know how...
Really lucky. I think, honest?
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, $8 isn't going to kill me. It might kill some people, but I'm stronger than that. So, you know, I have that to spare. But I don't know how this compares to Game Dev Story, which I believe is an iOS game. But it's fun. Like, you start off, you're a dude in your garage, and it basically goes through the life cycle of the game industry. It starts off with Commodore 64 and old school PCs, and you pick a genre. You pick, by genre I mean like fantasy, medieval, sports, and then you pick a type of game, simulation, action, whatever, and you pick a platform, and then you can build your own engine, and your engine can do different things like add multiplayer and different graphics and stuff. And
I got a quick question, Taylor.
Yes.
Can you make hentai games?
You know, I didn't play long enough to find that, but maybe.
All right.
You would think if that was an option, Taylor would have explored it.
Yeah, I would have been there and done that,
right.
Johnny. Come on.
Probably right. Okay, well, I'm not buying it then. Fuck that shit. Continue.
We'll forget it then.
If you try to make a sports game, does it just go lol no? Because there's no...
Actually, so I picked sports and simulation, and that was like my best-selling game of my last session.
Really? You would think that they would just simulate the fact that EA just owns that there just would not be any room.
Maybe you are EA. That's the magic of Game Dev Tycoon. You could be the new EA.
It's funny that you say that, because they...
Son of a bitch.
They do funny little hints to other companies, like there's Cape Cam and stuff like that, and then there is somebody that is like a play on Electronic Arts. I can't remember what it is. It's like Electronic Playground or something, even though that's probably a real company. But yeah, it's fun. It's very addicting. I think you guys would enjoy it.
Now, since you paid for it, was piracy a problem for you?
It's in the game, but only did it happen once in my about hour and a half play session. And it's funny, it brings it up and it's like, do you want to sue them or do you want to send them a warning? And if you just send them a warning, you gain fans because you don't seem like a douche developer trying to just gouge money.
How robust is the options? Can you like do a DRM free version? And can you do like other?
You know, I haven't gotten that far. I imagine as your engine becomes more complicated, you can do that, because as you go along, you get like research points, and you can put them into different things. Like, oh, I want to learn a new genre. I want to learn a new thing. Like, oh, I want to learn how to put multiplayer in my game, or I want to know how to do character progression in my game. And then as you learn like things for your game, you build an engine around that. Like, I'm going to make an engine, and I'm going to make my engine do these things. So eventually, maybe you can build an engine with DRM in it. I didn't play that far. The farthest I got was to the PlayStation 1. And then I ran out of money because
Piracy!
Because GameSport 3 did not sell. And then...
Is that what you named it? You named your game GameSport 3?
I called it GameSport 3, yeah. That's what I called it.
Well, there's your problem.
Yeah, I think you need to talk to the guys in marketing a little bit there, Taylor.
Although you're going to laugh at this, Austin, but my best-selling game, I think, on my PlayStation my game session was a military shooter called a Gun Shooter.
That sounds like it would actually be pretty good. Like, it would be like a Bulletstorm kind of thing.
Exactly.
I think it would be cool though if investing heavily in like draconian DRM actually increased piracy. Like, it just pissed them off.
Like I said, maybe that's a thing you can add later on, but I hadn't got far enough to find that out yet, because there's no DRM in PlayStation games.
As much as I am delighted, like absolutely delighted by how like on the nose this piracy tweak is in this game, I'm really sad because I don't think they're gonna get it. I think people are gonna be like, oh, piracy is a huge problem. That sucks. I hate this game. And that's it. Like, I really wish that people would make the connection.
I don't think they're going to convert any pirates, but I think, if anything, it'll at least bring a little exposure to this game to people who otherwise wouldn't have heard of it, and maybe it'll make up some of those lost sales.
Very possibly. Very possibly.
I mean, that's what happened to me. I never even heard of the game until somebody wrote a story about it today, and then Total Biscuit was doing a live stream, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this game out. And I played the demo, and then I bought the game because it was fun. So...
Yeah, that's a way to get some publicity.
That's true.
But it sucks that I had to come to that. It's not. I mean, this happens all the time. I follow a lot of like publishers on Twitter, and they're always getting like requests for help with their pirated games. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's like a constant thing. Is they're like, hey, can you help me with this? And then it's like, I'm not going to give you advice on your cracked version of our product, you dick. But yeah, the kind of presumptuous, like, I'm going to throw the word out there, entitlement that someone would just pirate something, goes along with the personality that I would imagine would then be angry about it being hard to use because it's pirated.
Yeah.
It's too bad Leon isn't here, because he would speak up in defense of piracy, because I know him, and he is a dirty pirate.
Yeah.
Oh, is that true?
I mean, he pays for his stuff sometimes, but...
And don't get me wrong. I mean, I recognize, I think, more than most people that piracy is an incredibly complicated issue, particularly with the way that the video games industry is run. You know, like, you have super delayed release dates for different regions of the world. You have ridiculously unfair pricing in some parts of the world as well. You know, you've got even inaccessibility. You know, there are games that they just don't release to parts of the world.
I've always said that as far as piracy goes, I'm really anti-piracy in the case that you are able to buy something. For example, Mother 3 has never been released in English. I don't hold anything against people who pirated that game, because there's no way to purchase it legitimately. What are we supposed to do?
Yeah. You know, or people who are really, even if you're really iffy about a game and you decide to pirate it, to be like, you know, I don't know if I really want it, and then maybe you play it for like 10 minutes or like 20 minutes, and you're like, hey, you know, this is actually pretty good, I'm gonna buy this. Or you're like, wow, this is crap, like, this is absolute and total utter tripe, forget it, and then you delete it. It's you know, there are times and places where I believe, you know, piracy has a place. I won't say justified, but perhaps can be excused. But
I mean, there's a lot of moral gray area there. I think everyone's already kind of formed an opinion. I don't know how much intellectual discourse we could have on the subject, but I see what you're saying.
For $8 though, $8. Come on.
Yep.
Guys.
I mean, that's like that barely needs defense. That's like sandwich price.
Get a paper route, asshole.
Yeah, I'm really, really sorry. Like that $8, is gonna gouge you so deep. Like, man, your student debt is just gonna balloon because of that fucking $8.
I don't know. Maybe I have like a chip on my shoulder about this because I'm like trailer park poor. Like I've been digging ditches to pay the rent since I was like 13. So I have no tolerance for that kind of bullshit. Like, fuck you if you're not gonna make money and pay it. Like, that's just me. So I'm probably a biased asshole on that one. But. Well,
I'm like what I'm saying is that for $60 or $70 fucking dollars, I can understand that you would think twice before you fork over money for that. Particularly if the game we're talking about plays a little fast and loose in terms of how it tries to sell itself to the customer.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about like a fucking $8 game. An $8 goddamn game.
Just don't supersize it, for the love of God. You'll save that money.
I've wandered into restaurants and ordered appetizers more expensive just so I could take a shit in their restroom and not feel guilty about it. I'm sorry. I got $8 for a game, and presumably you get like a good amount of time out of playing a game like this. This isn't like Kane and Lynch 3, the 15-minute director's cut edition here.
It seems almost that like price and content is like inversely proportional these days. Like every time I buy like a $60 game, it's like, God, this is gonna have a 5-hour campaign, and then I get like a portable game, and it's like 70 hours long for like half the price.
No, I completely agree with you. With perhaps Bethesda's games being the exception.
Yeah. There are outliers, certainly, but they are the exception.
Yeah, they are the exception rather than the rule.
Now I'm all worked up, guys.
I certainly hope that nobody who listened to this podcast pirated Game Dev Tycoon.
Are you pirating this podcast right now?
Man.
We had to install DRM on this. It'll just be Sean.
People go to download and it's just Sean discussing the canon to My Little Pony.
That'll teach you. So video games.
Although people might be using ad blockers.
That's true.
Is that? I had this thought because apparently that's been a thing recently in the company that we are somewhat associated with, which I completely forget sometimes that we have anything to do with those people. But apparently the ad blocker thing is a thing recently. Where are you guys going on the internet that the ads are so obtrusive? Like, I've been on the internet for like 10 years, right? And I've never seen any. I've never had like pop-up ads or any like annoying.
The only ones that I really hate are the ones that open up that balloon to like full screen size if you roll the mouse over them.
Like, where are you guys going on the internet? Because I check my email, I get my news, I write some articles, and then I close my browser, and I didn't encounter any of that. I feel like you guys are going to like some shady corners.
Dude, YouTube, any videos, it's like pre-roll on videos. Like, I don't want to sit here and wait 30 seconds. That's ridiculous.
30 seconds? Who the fuck has that much time? I'm dying here. My arteries are hardening as we speak. I eat poutine. I'm a Canadian. God, I'm going to die any second now. I don't have time for a fucking commercial.
Well, if you don't have time for the commercial, then you don't have time to watch the video, do you?
I was being satirical.
No, I know. I'm just saying, I'm trying to follow the train of logic. I feel like if your time is so precious, you should probably be doing something other than watching internet videos.
The thing is, actually, Austin, Blistered Thumbs does have, like, the British Columbia Lottery Corporation runs a series of web ads that open up. And, like, so I go to Blistered Thumbs, and if I move my mouse to the wrong part of the screen, suddenly I get this fucking, like, advertisement that takes up the whole page, and the sound comes on, and a video starts playing, and I'm just like, fuck, I was doing something.
Does it? I've never had any of those. Maybe
It is because I live in British Columbia, because it's a company, it's the British Columbia Lottery Corporation that advertises it. They must source it to, like, local, IP addresses or things like that.
I just went to the site now. We have, like, there's a little, like, Xfinity banner, and there's, like, a little Geico thing in the corner, and that's, like, it.
See, I go to the site, and I've got an advertisement for Target Canada.
Maybe that is, maybe I'm being insensitive. Maybe people who are going on our sites from, like, England are seeing, like, thousands of pop-up ads, and I'm just being a dick. I apologize.
No, well, I mean, but the thing is that I'm still not going to use an ad blocker though, because I recognize that even though I don't see like fucking penny one of stuff that comes through Blistered Thumbs.
Dude, we lose money on this. I had to buy the license for the recording software for this. This is not a profit deal.
Wait, I thought Skype had its own free recording thing.
I didn't do it though, because I asked Holly what program she uses to record stuff, and then I did that because I listened to her. Because she's scary.
She is scary. Oh my god. You don't even met her in person.
But she's so lovable.
Wait, you met her in person and you survived?
Yeah, it was crazy. I couldn't believe it. But she is lovely.
I don't know
she's
why.
She's scary and lovely at the same time.
I don't know why I immediately jumped to the defense there, like she's actually listening to this podcast.
She wouldn't be caught dead. Do people listening know who Holly is? I feel it's a thing we need to provide context for.
I think Holly's achieved a certain level of notoriety in the annals of Channel Awesome history.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was just completely over everyone's head.
Well, if anybody doesn't know, ask in the comments and we'll inform you. Just don't look directly at the comment. Have somebody read it to you.
Don't make direct eye contact.
Yeah, it'll burn in your retinas. Austin,
that's me.
Are you playing video games?
Holy shit, guys. Video games. So, as of this recording, the embargo doesn't lift for like 5 hours, so you guys are getting an illegal sneak peek of this shit, because by the time this goes up, my review will be up, so it'll be all kosher. But right now, Soul Sacrifice. Soul Sacrifice, guys. Not the Santana song.
That's a thing.
Guys, it's so good.
Oh, yeah?
It's so good. I have not been able to stop playing this game for a while. I'm trying to think of how to even get into it, because when you see it, you're like, oh, okay, it's a Monster Hunter clone. That's cool, I guess. I mean, I don't even like Monster Hunter. I've said that before. I think it's kind of boring and grindy and whatever. But this game, I'm trying to think how to even approach it. I've talked about it a little bit on the last episode, and I said it's good. I couldn't say much more. But it's like everything good about Monster Hunter with none of the bad stuff, plus the good stuff from, like, The World Ends With You, I guess.
Really?
What? Yeah.
That's a weird game to throw in there.
Yeah, that's a bit that's a soup that I would eat just because I could tell people later that I had that soup.
It's like in Monster Hunter, right? You have to kill these monsters, and you take their skin, and you make weapons and armor, and that's kind of like the grind. You just kill monsters to make more armor, to kill more monsters to make more armor, and that doesn't appeal to me. But in this game, it's like in The World Ends With You, you amass these pins that are like your abilities, and they have like different cooldowns and different usage and stuff. That's the way this works. They're called offerings, and they look exactly the same as The World Ends With You. They're like little pins. And for example, you go into a fight, you can use this one 5 times. It turns your arm into a sword, and that's like the big draw of the game is like you sacrifice parts of your body for power. So during this fight with this giant monster, you'll have 5 sword arm attacks. But during that boss fight, because it's basically like just boss fight the game. It's Shadow of the Colossus almost. Like little enemies will spawn. If you kill one of them, you can sacrifice it to recharge the usage for that weapon. So it becomes kind of like a risk-reward thing, and it constantly keeps you on your toes. You feel like the gameplay is always engaging you. It's always throwing something new at you. And you just never get that sense of monotony that I always felt from Monster Hunter, but it still retains all the good things about it, like the overwhelming odds, the size of the enemies, the scale of the world and stuff. So it's super cool in all those ways, and also it's really gross. It's so gross.
Yeah, it is gross.
The game starts, you're just laying in a pile of bones, and there's maggots all over the place, and like the way the Vita works is like you can actually like move it around to look. So like it's almost like, it sounds cheesy, almost like you're there, and you're just like, oh shit, there's a maggot near my face. That's disgusting. It's great, and like all the attacks are like rip your eyes out to shoot lasers and stuff. It's amazingly gory, and I love it.
Yeah, that's probably why I won't play it. Because I played it at E3, and I was just like, this is so gross. I'm like pulling my spine out of my mouth to use it as like a spear. It's like and the sounds they make, it's like, oh, it's so gross. I hate it.
You are just a sandy little vagina, Taylor.
That's right. Bring me to the beach and leave me there.
It is gross, but it's supposed to be. It's oh gosh, I'm trying to think of how to explain it. In a lot of ways, it reminds me of Cavia. I don't know if you guys ever played Drakengard or Nier.
I know of them.
But yeah, in Drakengard, you sacrifice things to get power, and it's kind of a running theme in those games. Like the main character Kaim gave up his voice to have a pact with the dragon. That's like the premise of that game. And in this one, it's like these sorcerers, they give up parts of their body to get power, and it like infects their arm, and it gets all gross and swollen. There's like the bad guy, his body is just covered in like eyes. It's really gross, and it's dark and depressing like those games are, but also I don't want to say it's like darkly humorous. It kind of is, but I never feel like it gets like silly. It's dark, but it's still
gallows humor.
A little bit. It's like I never when I started the game I was like I'm gonna shoot my blood at these guys, which is a thing you can do. You can just shoot your blood like a gun. It's great. And then I'll kill.
Who wouldn't?
I'll just kill all these monsters and then I'll call it a day. It'll be good. I didn't expect to care about the characters, but I did. Like there's like genuine heart in this game, which I didn't expect to find. And in a lot of ways, it's kind of like a dark Arthur stuff, you know, like what the fuck's his name, Merlin and all that shit. Like
King Arthur.
Yeah, it's clearly that, but in where everything is made of blood. So there, I mean, you get some kind of archetypes to hold on to, but the writing is pretty good. It's so hard to explain. I'm trying to write my review now, and I don't even know. It'll be like 12 million words because there's so much to dig into. But I want to say it's the best game on the Vita. I want to say that it's technically better than Gravity Rush.
Taylor, fight!
Get out of here. You're done, Austin. Just get out of here.
Gravity Rush has a more welcoming world. I want to spend time in Gravity Rush, just running around and looking at the characters and just having fun. Like
You're
that.
drunk, Austin. Go home.
Yeah, seriously. You're done.
But I feel like just technically Soul Sacrifice is better. And as far as Persona fucking Golden goes, I'm not even going to open up that can of worms. But that's like the top 3 games for the Vita, and I feel like Soul Sacrifice may just be the best, like objectively. Even if you don't like the aesthetic, or if you think it's too gross for your tastes, I think you kind of got to respect it, what it does.
Respect the grossness.
I don't respect it. I don't have to either, so deal with it.
Did you listen to the song that I linked on Twitter, Taylor?
Yeah, the music was pretty nice. Yeah, I like it.
The music is fucking amazing. It has no business being that good. It's the guy who did Chrono Trigger. If you have not heard it, it's the I cannot pronounce his name for the life of me. Mitsunuda.
Oh, yeah.
You want to try?
It's I forget how you say his name. It's like Yatsuda Mitsuda. Let's see, Mitsuda.
I just say Mitsuda, but
Yosunori Mitsuda.
Mitsuda. Yeah, I was right. I just didn't try the first name. Anyway, yeah, the music it's beautiful. Why is it so good? This is a game in which you burn off your own skin on purpose. Like why is the music like so emotional?
I don't know. David Cage would like it though. That's
because it feels, Austin. Because it
David
feels.
Cage would love this game. Here's the thing though, if we're just gonna touch on David Cage again, for the love of fuck. He is such a hypocrite. If you guys watch the trailer, he's always like, games need to stop being so violent. And the fucking Jody gets the shit beat out of her with a baseball bat for like 5 minutes in that gameplay footage. He's an asshole. Anyway, Soul Sacrifice, guys. It's a thing. Taylor is too much of a pussy to play it, but he should.
And I don't have a Vita.
Not that you probably shouldn't have a Vita. If you are stuck with a Vita, play Soul Sacrifice.
All right. When I like black out for some reason and I wake up chained to a radiator in a basement somewhere and there's like a Vita and a copy of Soul Sacrifice there, I'll be like, oh, it's not so bad after all.
Could be worse. Yeah. When the mole people rise to reclaim the planet and we have to retreat to our underground shelters, bring a copy because.
All right. Okay.
That's pretty much all I've been playing for review. I played. I finished Golden, but no more of that. We're done.
You don't want to do hard mode? You don't want to get the platinum trophy?
Oh my god, you and trophies. I saw on your Twitter you said, oh, you got a platinum in Guacamelee, and it took everything in my being not to go off on you. Who gives a shit about trophies?
There's so much. They're so satisfying.
Oh my god, I cannot. If a console came out and it didn't have achievements, that is a plus in my book. That gives it something over the competition. I can't even deal with it. Who cares?
To me, it's another way to get value. It's like, ooh, look, there's extra things to do in the game besides just beat it. Because normally, I just play the game once and be done with it, but now it's like, ooh, I gotta collect all the things and do these things and beat the game twice.
It's so artificial. Your game should compel me to play it for its own. It shouldn't have to tell me to collect all the dingle dongles. I should want to collect the dingle dongles.
But Austin, right now, there are fucking feathers aplenty in every Assassin's Creed game that you need to collect.
I did not. I went out of my way to avoid the feathers. I saw one and I was like, nope, rerouting. I can't.
And that's because Austin Yorsky is the achievement rebel.
I cannot be fucked to collect feathers. That is bullshit.
You cannot be fucked to collect feathers. I'm not sure about that one. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Out of context, that may very well be the best thing that you've ever said, Austin.
But, like, there's an achievement in Persona 4 Golden for reading all the books. It's like, if I wanted to read books, I'd read a book, you asshole. They're real. There are real books. I could read them. Like, I don't feel any sense of satisfaction for fake reading your fake books. Ugh. Jesus.
It's I don't know. It's that shiny little trophy. It's nice. Don't you just love it, Austin? You get a little like ding thing. It's like, man, I got a platinum trophy. I kicked this game's ass. We have pretty firmly established that you and I are at a major impasse of taste. So I think we might just have to let that one slide. You value different things in your media, Taylor. That is true. We can agree to disagree, I think.
Do you want to touch on Guacamelee? Because I briefly did. I reviewed it, and I thought the combat was a little underwhelming, but the rest of it was great. And a lot of people thought I was crazy, and they said the combat was great. What did you think?
For me, maybe, I don't know. Did you play it on PS3 or Vita?
I played it on Vita, because my Vita was lonely.
Okay. Yeah, so did I. So I beat it on Vita. Sometimes I felt like the controls were unresponsive, so like sometimes I'd be trying to like double jump and then do an uppercut and it wouldn't uppercut. Or I'd be like double jump and side dash and it wouldn't side dash. I mean, it seemed to happen a lot. But
to me, I thought maybe they were a little too precise. It was like any slight miscalculation would just send you hurling into the void.
Interesting that we're on opposite ends like that.
I think now we're doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
But, I mean, in Guacamelee, I felt every single enemy encounter, besides boss fights, which were great, every other enemy encounter was punch, 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 pile drive. Punch, 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 pile drive. Dodge, punch, punch, pile drive.
If you play it on hard, you have to develop more of a strategy. Like, those yellow guys that dash and those red guys that throw the boomerangs are, oh my god, they're so annoying.
I mean, are you talking about the elemental shields and stuff?
No, not that. They're like, their clothes are red. Like, there's those red skeletons that throw the boomerangs or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I review on normal mode. I feel like that's the default experience.
Sure. Yeah,
so,
that's fair. That's fair.
So, yeah, maybe hard mode would have been a different story. But I feel like if you're going to sell the consumer a game and your normal mode is very easily defeated with the simple strategy. That's the dominant strategy theory. I linked that in the comments, but...
Yeah, it's pretty button mashy. The platforming is very challenging, though, especially if you want to get everything.
Dude, it's a really good platformer.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's a game about being a luchador, but I felt like it was more of a jumpador. I don't have a good joke for that. Fuck.
A jumpador?
I don't know. I can't remember the Spanish word for jump, but yeah, that would have been clever. Fuck you guys.
Hey, you're the one that lives in Florida with all the Mexicans and the Cubans. I'm surprised you don't know.
I did for my in high school, my final like Spanish project, I had to give a 15-minute speech in Spanish.
Damn.
So I used to be able. I'm rusty, but I used to like know stuff. It was good, but I got to work on it. So that's Guacamelee. Pretty good. I would recommend it.
It's a good game. Play it if you have a Vita. You got nothing else to play on it.
Except for Soul Sacrifice.
Nah, who cares about Soul Sacrifice?
Oh, Jesus. I'm going to murder your family, Taylor.
Joke's on you, they're all dead. I mean, just kidding.
You got me.
You guys are dark.
It's Austin. He brings out the dark in me. Usually I'm so happy and cheery, and in Persona 4 land, he shoots me in the head with his Persona 3 darkness, and things get all crazy.
We are so fucking nerdy. It's gross.
Yep.
Do you play anything else, Taylor? I feel like you did.
Yeah, I beat Guacamelee. I did play a little bit of Fire Emblem, like I said. I'm looking at my stack of games. So I imported this game that I think a lot of people were hoping would get localized, but didn't. It's called X Troopers or EX Troopers.
The Capcom one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it looks super cool. How is it?
It's beautiful. It looks really good on PS3 because it's all in HD and everything. The controls are very, very simple. So if you are worried about like not being able to play it if you import it, then don't worry about that because it's very simple. But it's fun. If you like anime and J-pop, then this game is like right up your alley. It has like almost nothing to do with Lost Planet because for those who don't know, it's like a Lost Planet spin-off, but it looks like anime basically. But it's very totally my style, very upbeat, lots of J-pop, and just it's kind of like out of place too. You're like out there shooting like these giant bug aliens, and it's like what?
Can you just beatbox for like a minute?
No, I'm good.
Damn. But I mean, does it require a lot of like knowledge? Can you just not understand what's going on and still play it?
Yeah, think of it. It's like a quest-based game. It's like you get a quest and you go out and you do things. It's like, oh, I gotta set these mines or kill all the guys in this level. You won't be able to know what's going on with the story really. But it's very flashy and colorful, and the combat's fun and satisfying. You just won't know what's going on. And I believe the game didn't sell very well in Japan, so if you import it, it's a lot cheaper than if you normally would. Like normally, a brand new PS3 game is like $80. But I got this for $50, which might seem like a lot, but that's pretty cheap for an import game.
That sucks that it didn't sell well. It looks like really nice. It probably isn't going to be localized, so it seems like a waste of a lot of effort.
Oh, I did play another Vita game, and you're going to laugh at me for playing this.
Yes, I am.
Guess. I'll give you one guess at what it is. It's another import Vita game.
Oh, geez. I'm trying to think of something that could be super embarrassing for you. Is it like one of those Vocaloid games?
No. Not really. No, actually not at all.
I mean, not really.
It's nothing like that, actually.
Oh. I didn't feel like there's a lot of ambiguity there, Taylor. I don't know. Is it... I can't... Well, the Vita doesn't have any games, Taylor.
Okay, so there was this game. It's probably like the third best-selling game in Japan. It's called Senran Kagura Shinobi Versus.
Isn't that Boob Game?
Yes.
That's the Boob Game.
It's the Boob Game, and it's ridiculous. And I was surprised at how fun it is. It's like Dynasty Warriors, but like there's 20 main characters, and they each have their own campaign, and they each have their own special abilities and stuff. It's pretty fun.
Is it as bad as it sounds?
Oh, like... it's worse. There's like this mode. There's like a what, I don't know what you want to call it, like a changing room mode, so you can like put different clothes on them, but then if you like tilt the screen, it just shows them, and you can like poke them and they'll like squirm and stuff. Oh, it's
what
bad.
The fuck, Japan?
There's some really disturbing trophies in that game. That's all I gotta say.
I try to keep an open mind. We talked about the Katawa Shoujo fiasco, so I don't want to just dismiss things, but the phrase "you can poke them and they squirm."
I feel pretty unsettled as an observer, solely as an observer of that conversation here. I feel pretty
Taylor, do you feel this disconnect between us? You're like, yeah, I'm just poking all these prepubescent young girls and they're squirming, and I'm like, ew, that's gross. And then I'm like, yeah, I ripped my tongue out and strangled a dude with it, and you're like, ew, that's gross.
Yes.
We are two halves of a really disturbed individual.
Yep. Wait, do you really rip your tongue out and strangle somebody with it in the game?
No, I don't think that's actually an ability.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. The in Soul Sacrifice, the Uber abilities are called the Black Rites, and I think there's 5 of them, or I've unlocked 5. There's you burn your skin off, you rip your spine out, you shoot your eyes, and there's one where your fingers come off. I'm trying to think what the other one is. There's another one, but yeah, they're all just terrible. And here's the thing: I should probably mention this before. It's not like that it just takes up your super meter or whatever. Your character doesn't have a spine anymore.
Jeez.
When you do that, and you're permanently crippled until you there's basically a currency called lacrima that you have to spend to magically repair yourself. But it's a pretty significant penalty for these uber moves, and it makes the game feel significant. It's I don't give a shit in most RPGs when I just use the big spells, right? I drop a Magidalin or whatever in Persona. Like, that's not a big deal to me. I'll just go pay the fox for some SP. But when you use something in Soul Sacrifice, it's like kind of a weighty decision, and I feel like that's really cool.
That's what Keiji Inafune said in interviews. He's like, you sacrifice something, and I want you to feel like you're making a big decision when you're doing this. It's like, you can sacrifice a little thing, and you won't have as powerful of a weapon, but you could sacrifice your spine and have a really strong weapon.
Yep, exactly. He pulled it off. I like it a lot, I've said. But you're not getting away without talking about Fire Emblem. Are you done talking about boobs?
Yeah, sure.
I'll talk about boobs if you want to talk about boobs. I just want to make sure where we stand.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically Dynasty Warriors with a bunch of ninja chicks, and that's pretty much it. That's all there is to say.
Alrighty then, because Fire Emblem is a game also about boobs, but it's much more subtle about them because you get to know the boobs first.
That's not one of the first things that come to mind when I think of Fire Emblem.
I know, I'm being facetious. I heard you got married, Taylor.
I did, to this beautiful merchant named Anna. She wanted me for my money, and then she realized, there's some things that money can't buy. And then she's like, hey, you better marry me, or I'm just going to leave. And I'm like, all right, well, I don't want you to leave, so I'll marry you, and that's that.
A romance for the ages.
Yes, people could write a stage play about it.
The thing about Anna, though, is in addition to being in like every Fire Emblem game ever, no matter how far away they take place, like thousands of years, she's somehow I guess it's just a family name, but she's in all of them. And so her even being in the game is kind of like an Easter egg. And then you went ahead and banged her, Taylor. Pretty rude.
That's what I do.
Actually, before you started Fire Emblem, I had money on that. I figured of all the characters, it would be either her or Sairi that you'd marry. I don't know if that says a lot about me knowing you or that you're just really predictable.
I think my opinion of who I was going to choose was probably swayed, but also it had a lot to do with she's actually useful in battle. Like, a lot of the other female characters are either like healers or they are ugly.
Oh my god, Taylor, you're a monster.
Like, Sully might as well be a guy.
Dude.
And then there's...
Are you going to tell me that you didn't romance Naoto?
I didn't, no.
Dude, you're just a monster.
I am.
You're an unforgivable human being.
Yeah, deal with it.
We can't be friends anymore, Taylor, because you hating.
I am hating, yo. Deal with that shit.
So you just went in there, you're super judgmental. You're like, you're ugly, you're fat, you're ugly, you have money, and you don't die. So that's where I'm hitching my horse. Pretty
much. I mean, the only other person that was kind of cool was like Alyssa or whatever her name was.
Crom's sister, Alyssa?
Yeah, she was kind of cute, but she dies a lot, so...
She's accident prone.
She is. So, like, I mean, when I team up with Anna, she can, like, go in front of me, and then I can go in... Oh, God, that's a bad setup.
No, please continue.
And then I can go in...
You can go in behind her?
Yeah, go in from behind.
You can enter from behind, is what you're trying to say.
Yeah, and do magic, and things
happen. Is that what you call it?
I call it doing...
Putting on a little magic show.
Johnny, say things. I'm laughing too hard.
Greek yogurt's pretty weird.
I like it.
Yeah,
it tastes like sour cream, but better.
Yeah, the texture. I like the texture better than regular yogurt.
Yeah.
So
anyway, speaking of yogurt, Taylor, you and Anna, I don't even know. I don't know what I'm doing. Help.
Help. Yeah,
I think at this point in time, Austin, you are beyond help.
Yeah,
I don't even register your Fire Emblem talk anymore. Like, it has come so far out the other side that I'm just like, whatever.
I didn't say a single word about Fire Emblem last week, but I want to bring Taylor on, I want to bring Chris back, and I want to bring Yusuf and James so I can basically badger them all, because first of all, just because I actually want to know, I'm just intellectually curious about how you guys play the game, but also because one of you assholes is going to marry Noe, and there's so many pedophile jokes. We cannot pass that opportunity up.
No, I don't even think I have Noe yet.
You missed her if you don't, because you're way past that point.
Which one's Noe? Is she the dragon chick?
Yeah.
Okay, I have her, yeah.
She looks like she's 12.
Yeah,
and
pretty much.
You could hit that shit.
Wow.
So, whichever one of you guys did that you need to be on the podcast, because that's not we have to.
I'm starting over just so I can do that.
You would though, because you played the Boob Game.
The Boob Game.
You didn't play the Boob Game, Taylor.
Let me ask you this. Can you, like in Persona, can you change who you woo? Or is like you're married and that's it?
No,
no divorcing.
There was actually a developer interview I read where they were talking about adding a divorce mechanic because the designers wanted to marry as many people as possible. It's really funny the way they talked about it. But no, once you're S rank, you're stuck. But yeah, did you read that? I posted about it on Blister Thumbs Taylor. They were talking about how first they were going to set the game on Mars.
What?
That was actually like an idea that came up, and then they were talking about their favorite character, and everyone on the team said Tharja, which is obviously the person I romanced when I played, and then they all like got embarrassed and changed their answer. It was pretty funny.
That is pretty funny. This is a Japanese-developed game, right?
Yeah, it's intelligent system. So, okay. But yeah, that game is amazing. But you haven't finished it yet, so I don't want to go into full spoilers. But there is a downside to marrying Anna.
Oh shit.
So I don't know. You probably won't even notice because you won't know what you're missing until you play it again.
Well, I'll let you know when I find out.
Okay, very excited. For those listening, Taylor doesn't have Morgan yet because he doesn't know how to work the fucking world map. He's far enough, but apparently he just doesn't know how to. It's not as if it's on rails or anything.
Yeah, if it's not in a straight line, I don't know what I'm doing.
So you're a big fan of Final Fantasy 13 then?
Oh, no, I'm not. Here, you know what? I'm going to turn my 3DS on right now and see if I have this Morgan person you speak of.
If you had a Morgan and you didn't know, that I would seriously start to question like you as an individual because that's pretty heartless. Okay,
so on my map, I currently don't have any. A new map is available for purchase in the Hellrealm Gate. Cool. I don't have. Let's see. Are they way down there? Olivia.
It should be at the top of the Eastern Continent.
Top of the Eastern Continent. Okay.
Yeah, maybe a little bit to the left. It's called Paralog 12.
Paralog 12. Paralog 4. Paralog 3. No, I don't have it yet. I got Paralog 2. 8. Paralog. No, I did it already, but I don't have it.
How do you check your units? Go into the menu. If you got Morgan killed, we can't be friends.
I have it on casual. I can't kill. Nobody can get killed.
Oh, okay. How did you even?
Well, is she one of those characters where Chrom has to talk to her and then she recruit her?
I think you can recruit the Morgan with Chrom or the Avatar.
That may be why I didn't get her. Maybe I just killed everybody on the map before I got to her.
She's like right there at the beginning. I'm convinced you just missed the mission. There's no way that you went through and didn't recruit your own goddamn daughter.
Let's see. Morgan Fire Emblem. I'm probably spelling Morgan wrong. Is it? Okay, let's see. Morgan.
This is so frustrating because I know Chris let Cordelia die. I feel like I'm bearing the emotional burden of like 6 different save files at this point.
So it looks a lot like me.
Just because it's your daughter.
Well, they wear the same outfit.
Yes.
I don't remember that. And I did on my map. It shows that I did that battle, and it's not green. So well, yeah, there's that.
You're a deadbeat dad, Taylor. You showed up and you're like, "Peace out, bitch."
Fend for yourself.
That is heartbreaking. How do you do that, Taylor? You're not a good person.
I am not. I do not want children in real life or in virtual life, so they can just all die.
See, I was the one advocating throwing babies off of cliffs earlier, but babies aren't the same as like teenagers. If teenagers just appear and they are your children, you can't throw them off cliffs because they have thoughts and opinions. Babies don't. Fuck babies. Don't fuck babies. Actually, I take that one back. Johnny, save us.
Gentlemen, I bring you waffle-powered cars.
Okay, you didn't really save us. Johnny, did you play any games this week that did not involve fucking babies?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I did.
Which ones would those be?
Well, I got a little bit more Slender the Arrival in, but I'm having real trouble getting motivated to play it. I'm not enjoying it. It's not a very good game.
Isn't that the lowest rated game on Good Old Games? That's what I heard.
I'm not sure. I know that they were not They were not pleased with it, and I can understand why. I mean, like I made a comment last week, and somebody responded in the YouTube comments of last week's episode about, complaining that a game is gamey, of being like, is a movie too movie-y? Like, what I guess I meant by that is that it adheres to so many tired tropes that that horror games or horror movies or whatever employ in. Like, it's so mind-numbingly, blisteringly obvious that it's cobbled together of all these other things that they've seen in, like, other movies or other games and been like, oh, we should do that, this is cool, that's cool. Like, everything from, like, the fact that your character's filming the whole thing. Like, the game starts, and it's got, like, a fucking, like, camcorder HUD. Because that's something that happens in horror movies, like found horror movies. People just, like, whip their cameras out and start filming.
Wait, isn't this person house sitting, you said?
Something like that. It's not
Why
even
would
like...
Why would they be filming that?
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, But it just happens because it's something that happens in horror tropes. Like, the walls are missing light switches. Like, there's no light switches anywhere on the walls, and when you actually, like, look at the layout of the house and how poorly lit it is, it's like, it's completely impossible to actually imagine anybody living in this house, and then just the layout of some of the levels, and it's so very obviously manufactured. There's nothing organic about the whole thing, like, about any of it. It exists purely as a video game. Like, there's I can't imagine myself in the situation. I can't see the layout of any of the levels or anything of that basically any of the presentation as being anything other than, like, a constructed video game. It's like the design is getting in its own way.
I will say this about the comment about what's wrong with games being gamey. It depends, obviously. There's different,
There are games that almost absolutely require you to recognize that, that you are, like, you're playing a game. Platformers, for example. Platformers are, you can't be like, well, this isn't very realistic because... Like,
humans cannot jump very high.
And it's not even that, but, like, the very idea that from the viewpoint, you're seeing everything from a third-person perspective, and like, it's obviously, like, a set of design, but,
here's the thing. When you're trying to evoke certain motion, certain, tone or an atmosphere, when you draw attention to that as a video game, it takes you out of it. Slender is a horror game, and it's hard to get scared when you're having your attention is being drawn to the artificiality of it, because then you don't value the fake life of the fake character.
Yeah.
When you're playing a game, when you're, like, sifting through menus and, whatever bullshit that video games make you do, that at that time they're not trying to give you certain, fears. It's a case-by-case basis, obviously.
And I'm not very thrilled on the whole concept behind the game of, like, wander around this forest and collect these pages. I'm like, why are these pages here? What am I doing? I was in a house, I heard a scream. It's like, go investigate the scream, and then you go investigate the scream, and then this new level's like, hey, collect a bunch of loose leaf.
Johnny, do you know about the indie horror game The Path, I think it's called?
Path. That sounds familiar.
Because when you said, I don't want to go outside and look for pages, it reminded me of that. It's a game where there's just a path, and you're in.
Okay, yeah, I do know the game that you're talking about. Yeah.
And it's like, why not just follow the path, or why, go into the woods and find the rest of the content or whatever. And I know a lot of people are, like, really hard on the game, but it's my feeling there is that game is going for a more metaphorical thing. It's very, there's lots of symbolism, and you can call that pretentious if you want, but I feel like it justifies certain design choices, where Slender is like, you are a dude, and there's a thing, and it's trying to get you. Like, it doesn't seem to me that you can write any of that off.
There's nothing metaphysical to be, like, addressed. There's no particular symbolism. There's no deeper themes to Slender the Arrival. It's like, there's a thing in the woods. It's coming to get you. Read this piece of paper.
Yeah, when it goes for the certain literal attitude about it's almost like a survival kind of situation. There is no reason you shouldn't lock yourself in and call the police.
Yeah,
Well,
you know, and I mean, when you go to the phone in the house, it's like, ooh, it seems like the phone line is dead, and I'm like, that's okay, lock the doors.
Also, is Slender known for cutting phone lines? I feel like that's not part of his mythos.
No, I really don't believe I don't believe that's part of it. And furthermore, why don't you have a cell phone?
You have a fucking camera, apparently.
You brought a camera, and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna film everything now. You know, like there are things about it that bother me. They bother me because it seems as though, I don't want to say that the game is on rails, but it seems like the design was. It seems like there were a number of design choices that they made simply because that's the way games are designed.
I just checked. It does have like all 1-star ratings on Good Old Games. It's like the pretty brutal over there. So yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Aren't there like a million of these types of games though? Like, oh, the Slender Man game. Find all the pieces of paper, because I feel like I've seen at least 3 iterations of this kind of game.
I believe there's only actually 2. One of them was free to play, which was just called Slender. You know, and this is by the same team. It's just the Arrival's supposed to be their commercial release. It's supposed to be their stab at having, like, you know, a game on the market. Now, that having been said, I do feel that after the success of Amnesia: The Dark Descent, I feel like there was a little bit of, like, bandwagoning going on, where smaller indie studios were like, scary games are really in right now because people love to film them on YouTube, and then they scream and people watch them and it's great. Mm-hmm. You know, like, going through, like, Steam Greenlight or anything like that, 1 out of every dozen games is going to be you have no weapons, you're trapped in a castle forest, a, like, asylum, dilapidated school or something like that, and something is out to get you. Run! But while you're running, collect the pieces of paper.
Have you guys seen that game? I think, is it called The Staircase? I think it is.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
You're just literally just in a staircase, and you're just walking up. I don't know if it's up or down the stairs. I want to say down, and there's just like noises sometimes. Like that's the whole game. Like it seems mockable, but I do want to keep an open mind because there's something unique about the experience, and maybe, I don't know, I wouldn't pay for it, but
yeah. So it's I'm not really enjoying it. I'm finding it really difficult to be motivated by it as well. And I mean, this is something that I believe that, you know, if you don't have a good motivation for a game, like if your only motivation for a video game is you want to play a video game, this is a video game, play it. You're missing a very important point. Like you're missing an opportunity to distinguish yourself.
Would it help if there were achievements? I hear that's a big motivator.
Not over here, man. There are already collectibles, and it's doing nothing for me. You know,
run into 5 trees.
No, you don't even need to collect these pieces of paper. You don't.
But
I think I read somewhere that some guy did a speed run of Slender: The Arrival in like 40 minutes. Is
there an achievement for that? I feel like that's an accomplishment.
I don't know. You know.
No, they should do it the other way around. If you manage to draw the playthrough out to like 10 hours, you should get an achievement.
But, you know, because, like, we do live in a time where it's really easy for you to put down a video game that you're playing and pick another one up. Particularly for someone like myself, who, for, you know, the past 20 years, the past 25 years, I've sort of slowly been accumulating this giant collection of video games. And unlike console, basically, most of these games I can still play. I still have access to them one way or another. Granted, my 3.5 disk drive has disappeared from the face of my latest computer, and indeed the last couple before it. But I still have access to a lot of this data spanning back 20 years ago, and they still work. They work perfectly. You know, having access to things like DOSBox or Scum VM. Sometimes you don't even need to do anything. It just works properly. And even more than that, new games are just dropping out of the sky like flies right now. They're all over the place, and not of consistent quality or consistent design, but it's never been easier to start playing another game. And if you bring a game to the table and you're missing something, I'm sorry, but I've got better things to do than suffer your play along.
Life's too short to give A's for effort.
Exactly, and I realize that these guys are an indie studio. They're a small team. They're not many guys. I don't necessarily expect them to come out with a genre-defining, revolutionary title or something like that. But yeah, effort doesn't hold my attention.
I was looking at the release schedule earlier today, guys. 2013 may be like the best year in history for video games. We have Ni no Kuni, Fire Emblem, Revengeance, there's a new Pokemon, there's a new Grand Theft Auto, there's Soul Sacrifice, like I was saying, there's
Watch
all
Dogs,
kinds.
Last
Shin
of
Megami-
Us, Tales
Shin
of
Megami
Xillia.
Tensei 4. We're just all talk over each other, just yelling out our favorites.
Yep.
Seriously, this year's gonna be sick. This year's gonna be disgustingly good.
And I don't have time. I don't have time to sit down and play a game that fails to grab me or that asks me to be complicit in its shortcomings. Because it all but does that at the very beginning as well. It's like, okay, try and be in this mindset when you play this game. And I'm like, okay, I'll try, but
Yeah.
That says something to me. When you have to have an implicit agreement, or when you have a complicit agreement with the player to be like, this game's not going to be any good unless you play it like this.
You should give me a reason to play like this, guys.
Yeah. There are better ways to motivate the player, and it's rather lacking in that. Maybe it's because I'm not necessarily interested in the mythos of the Slender Man. Because I know what it is. I know that it was.
It has a deep canon.
It's an internet urban legend. It's not like we're not talking about H.P. Lovecraft levels of depth and interrelatedness in his pantheon of characters or something like that. It's a dude in a suit with no face who kind of stands around, and then your camera goes wonky, and
It doesn't look like a very fun game.
I'm not enjoying it. I am not. So I'm still gonna try and muddle through it and see if I can't write something about it, because I know I was supposed to write the review for it on the site, but I'm having trouble getting through it, and so in between having a couple of goes at that, because I'll play it for like 30 minutes and then just be like, no, I can't do this. I don't have the patience for it right now. I played a little bit of Baldur's Gate 2 this week because I got into a conversation with one of our friends on Twitter about Baldur's Gate 1, and she was like, why haven't I played this game yet? Oh my god. And I was like, yeah, Baldur's Gate, awesome. Now I just want to go home and play Baldur's Gate. I was at work at the time. I was like, I just want to go home and play Baldur's Gate. So I went home and played Baldur's Gate 2. And it's awesome. There's really nothing more I can say about it. I fucking love the Baldur's Gate games, 1 and 2. They are, as far as I'm concerned, the best archetypical fantasy RPG storyline, from start to finish. The arc of your character and the trials he goes through and all the people that you meet and the situations that you get into and, the setting and, I love it. Whereas, I may feel that Planescape Torment is a better written game. It's just it doesn't beat Baldur's Gate for that pure fantasy hack and slash. That's it. And I'm also very slowly still plodding through Skyrim. I haven't even I bought Dragonborn, and I bought, what was the other one? Not Hearthfire, because you can just download a mod for that. Dawnguard. Yeah, I bought Dragonborn and Dawnguard, and I haven't played them yet. I haven't got to them yet. So I'm still sort of every now and again, I'll have 20 minutes to kill, and I'm I'm just gonna pop on and do a quest in Skyrim. So I got a little bit of that this week because I was sort of tinkering with it in the mod workshop, and then I was like, I should probably play this a little bit. I think that might be all, though. I think that might be the only games that I played this week. It wasn't a very conducive week for video games for me. I've been looking, as I mentioned earlier, I've been looking for an apartment. I think I found a place, so Hopefully that's going to free up some time during my day and also some time on my weekends, because rather than spend time going and looking at apartments, I'm going to be in one that I live in, hopefully. So,
as opposed to one you just
in an apartment.
as opposed to one that somebody else lives in. And
you just broke in.
Yeah, because
sleeping under their bed.
Shit happens. But so that was the thing.
Yeah, we talked about video games this week.
We did.
That's a Taylor thing though, because the last time we had him on, we talked about video games too.
I know, he's like a grounding influence.
It's disgusting.
It's weird that you talk about games on a gaming podcast. It's so weird, huh?
It's not something we're used to, okay?
It's not something I think our audience appreciates either.
Possibly.
Oh, did you guys hear that the Echo the Dolphin Kickstarter failed?
No way.
I can't say I'm completely surprised.
I didn't want to play it, but I wanted it to exist. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I think I was the same. I was of the same mindset.
Yeah, we talked about this before, but Echo the Dolphin. It's what was the game called? Big Blue, I think was the spiritual successor to Echo the Dolphin. None of those games are very good, but they're just so different and ballsy that I was kind of pulling for them. They didn't even get close to their goal, unfortunately.
Really?
But I think they wanted like 500,000. They got like 50,000.
Oh my god, got annihilated.
Fatality. Yep. So
it would have been nice if it was a thing, but I wasn't going to pay for it.
That's apparently how everyone felt.
More or less.
Oh, jeez. Did you want to wrap up this robbery? What were we doing?
I think it's safe to say that this has completely failed as a robbery. Before we even got away with any loot, you shot me in the back and ran away.
We just left Taylor there.
I don't even know what has happened.
Presumably I need some medical attention at this point in time.
I feel like Taylor would rat me out.
They'd be like, he did it. Persona 3, it was him.
Exactly. If I shot Johnny and made off with the empty loot bags, because apparently we didn't finish, the police would show up and Taylor would just be like, I'll tell you where he lives.
Yeah, I was there. It was embarrassing.
You're not a good friend or a good father, Taylor.
But at least you don't throw your own babies off cliffs. So I am actually capable of relating to you.
300 is a perfectly serviceable action movie. What do you want?
It is not. It is an awful, awful movie.
On that note.
You are...
It fails. It fails in some of the most basic story constructions.
Do you hate Eraserhead?
No, but Eraserhead,
fails in all the basic methods of story construction.
But it doesn't exist to fill that genre in cinema. It doesn't.
Neither does 300.
Yes, it does. 300 sets out to it is trying to be the most cookie cutterish of action movies, and it's
supposed to be just really homoerotic fight scenes. What's wrong with that?
I would rather watch Top Gun, sir. If I need homoeroticism and conflict, Top Gun, absolutely.
I mean, yes, but they're wearing a lot of clothes in Top Gun, which is a little bit.
Which means it's all subtext. It's deeper. It's more character-based homosexuality.
That's the thinking man's gay action movie?
Absolutely. Top Gun is the thinking man's gay action movie.
Okay. Well, 300 is the popcorn gay action movie, and I thought it was a perfectly good blockbuster, turn your brain off, stab dudes thing, Johnny.
No.
Back me up. Things, Johnny.
It overused slow motion. It failed to have sympathetic characters.
The slow motion thing crosses the line twice. It goes too far, and then it just makes it its own. It owns it.
I could not respect the villain. The villain was neither menacing nor fearful. He was sparkly and cartoonish.
Because the story was being told by someone who wanted to demonize and belittle the character. Why would they give an accurate and sympathetic portrait of the person they're trying to demonize?
No, I mean I'm not saying he wasn't sympathetic. What I'm saying is that he didn't even come across as being demonized or fearful. He was cartoonish. He was sparkly and.
Have you seen World War II propaganda? That's how we do. That's how humans do. They make cartoonish caricatures of their enemies for propaganda purposes.
I recognize that, yeah. But
okay.
It might work in a yellow journal newspaper comic where Hitler's like stealing money out of the back pocket of Lady Liberty or something like that. But it doesn't work in like a 90-minute fucking music video.
A music
Which,
video.
let's be clear here. Let's be clear, is about the highest possible way that we could describe the genre that 300 falls into. It's a 90-minute slow-mo like metal music video is what it is.
Johnny just doesn't like fun.
Johnny likes fun plenty. Johnny just doesn't have time to waste on subpar fun.
Ooh, look at me. I'm Johnny. I like smart action movies. What do you think are good? Don't say Die Hard. I will punch you in the heart. Obviously, Die Hard. What are some good?
Everybody likes Die Hard. Good examples of action movies that I enjoy. All right. Okay. I rather enjoy. I think True Lies was a pretty good action movie. Some of the Lethal Weapons are quite enjoyable as far as action movies go. There's of course like the whole. Are we going to talk about martial arts action movies? Because I mean they're
that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. You know, like Jet Li. I like a lot of the stuff before he started actually making like North American action movies. You know, like
you're elitist.
No, I just.
When in the original language, are you
a Jet Li hipster?
No, I just feel that a lot of the stories that in his more classic action movies, you know, because they deal with like tales of yore and things like that, you know.
Johnny, are you pro subtitles or pro dubbing?
I think dubbing can work. You know, like I think that you can have a good dub and you can have bad dubs. It's case specific. I don't think one or the other. Neither has. You know, like if you're talking
Stop
about
being so reasonable. I was trying to trick you into saying something stupid so I could yell at you.
If you're talking about action movies, it might be actually a better idea to go with the dubbing because if you use the subtitles, that's going to be distracting a person's gaze. And like, you know, if it's an action movie, particularly martial arts, you want to make sure that you're focused on the action. So if you can ease off reading the subtitles and be like, oh yeah, you know, actually focus on the fights and things like that, that's probably better for the purposes of the movie. Early John Woo made some really great action movies, you know, The Killer, fucking Hard Boiled, Better Tomorrow 1 and 2, even some of the North American stuff. Like, I thought that Face Off was actually a pretty good action movie. Like, John Travolta and fucking Nicolas Cage are so fucking hilariously over the top in that.
Nicolas Cage is like cheat codes for movies.
The Bourne movies are pretty good. I like the Bourne movies. I didn't see the latest one when you know with Matt Damon not in it.
Wait, are you gonna defend the Greengrass Bourne movie because that guy is a complete and total hack.
He's a shaky cam whore.
Yeah,
and I don't like it, but I do like the CQC that they use.
Yeah, the choreography is fine.
Yeah, and I think that Matt Damon, against all odds, I feel Matt Damon actually makes a fucking serviceable action movie lead.
He's fine.
Same way.
If you're gonna talk shit about the slow motion and then be like, yeah, Paul Greengrass knows how to film a fucking action scene, I'm just gonna kill you.
No. I mean, you know, I'm not saying that the action in the Bourne movies are like fucking amazing. Like, if I was to talk about the best action sequences in film, I don't think that they would even rank. But as like full on movies, like as top to bottom movies, they're actually quite good. The cast is good, the writing is good. You know, like I wish that there wouldn't be so much fucking shaky cam in it, but like all of the other ingredients in that stew are like top notch.
Dude, best fight scene, cinema history. The hammer hallway fight from Old Boy.
I don't know, man. It might be They Live.
That's too funny to be good, though.
Yeah, but it's like awkwardly long.
Also, have you seen the Raid Redemption? There's that machete fight. That's sick.
No, I do want to see the Raid Redemption.
Oh, it's really good.
I'm trying to think if there are any other action movies that are like awesome. And I mean there are absolutely.
Apparently they're remaking Old Boy. I'm not happy about that.
Yeah, well they're remaking.
What aren't they remaking? You know who's pretty good at action movies? Is that guy that did the Transformers movies? What's his name?
See, you think you're joking, Taylor? You're like, haha, Michael Bay. Dude, Bad Boys 2 rocks hard.
Bad Boys is awesome.
Bad Boys is good. Like, not even ironically. Bad Boys 2 is great. So, yes, Transformers are terrible, but I won't even say anything bad about Michael Bay. Like,
I like the first, you know, I think the Transformers movies are a guilty pleasure. Like, when I watch them, I enjoy them. and I take a step back, I'm like, those should be enjoyable. But I like robots transforming and punching things, so...
I do think people under-received the first one. I walked into the first one being like, okay, this is going to be awesome because I expect a bunch of fucking cars to transform into huge fucking robots, and then I expect those robots to fight. And that's what I got. Transformers 2 was like a fucking mess, top to bottom. It was a crime against humanity.
I want to high-five you through the internet, yes. The second one is, with no hyperbole, is probably worse than Troll 2.
Yeah, it is one of the worst movies that I've ever seen in my entire life. It has some of the worst pacing in the entire world. There's no break. Like, that movie is on right from the moment that you turn it on. It is like such an oversaturated, mind-numbingly noisy, just overstimulating, throbbing mess of brain melting scene goo.
I think overstimulated, throbbing scene mess of goo might be the episode title for us this week.
Very possibly. But I will say this about Michael Bay. The Island was one of the worst fucking movies I've ever seen in my entire life.
I haven't seen that.
It was so bad. So
The Rock's
bad.
okay.
Sorry?
I said The Rock
actually,
is...
The Rock was a pretty pretty serviceable action movie.
It's right there with 300.
No, it's fine. Really not.
Like, don't even go there.
Whatever. I need to find new friends with better taste.
The Terminator movies are pretty good. Well, pretty good action movies. The third one was kind of debatable, but it had a really awesome car chase scene in it. I liked the first Matrix movie.
Oh, who doesn't? That's not fair.
The second and the third one were ass balls.
Ass balls.
Aliens, of course. Fucking Aliens.
Obviously.
Oh my god, Aliens is amazing.
Johnny, come on. Now that's low-hanging fruit, dude.
I know it's low-hanging fruit.
Hey, Johnny, why don't you name some good horror movies? Oh, no, The Exorcist. Fuck you, dude.
I'm just trying to say, hey, like you were like, oh, you don't even like action movies, and guess what, motherfucker, I do.
Okay.
And it's like,
I think you just have just a hate boner for Zack Snyder, and I think it's because you think he ruined Watchmen.
No, honestly, I had problems with it well before Watchmen. Like, the Dawn of the Dead remake I went and saw in theaters, and I was like, okay, this is actually pretty good. This is pretty good. And then it goes off the rails. Like, fucking dead baby birth? Like, what? No, that's just... And then everybody's like, they've got this suite set up. Everybody's like sitting in this fucking mall, having a meal. They're fed, they're protected. And some dude is like, I want to leave. And everybody's like, oh yeah, sounds good to me. I'm like, no.
Yeah. No, we found common ground here. The first half of Snyder's Dawn of the Dead is pretty sweet, and the second half is an abysmal, complete and total train wreck.
Yeah. And so that was when I first noticed there was something wrong with Zack Snyder. All right, but it really didn't, like, I didn't lose it on him. I thought that The Watchmen was a bad adaptation. 300 I didn't enjoy as a movie, but I didn't fucking lose it over Zack Snyder until Sucker Punch came out.
I still haven't seen
God.
that movie because I can't go into it with no prejudices. I've heard so much about it that it's like I might as well just give up.
The reason why Sucker Punch bothers me is not because it's a sprawling mess of a movie, because it is. It's an absolute total fucking mess. I once joked to a friend that it was the worst movie about dancing I've ever seen in my entire life. Because that's like all of these action scenes are like she goes to a happy place when she's like strip dancing in this fucking insane asylum. Sorry, but it's not an insane asylum. It's really she's strip dancing in a brothel, but it's not a brothel. It's an insane asylum that she's just convinced herself is a brothel to try and keep herself sane. Like it's a total fucking sprawling mess of writing. The problem that I had with it, the real big problem that I had with it was that it was pandering. And it was so very obvious that it was pandering. Oh, hey, I'm just like you. I'm a geek nerd. That's why I have this Japanese fucking mech in the middle of a steampunk World War I that features zombie Nazis. Like, it is... There's a segment in Sucker Punch because it's like, it's the plot is about a girl whose like mother gets killed or like her sister gets family member gets killed, and then she gets trucked off to an insane asylum where, in order to cope with this cold, harsh reality, she pretends it's a brothel where, like, she's the new girl. And then they're, like, you know, trying to figure out what the new girl's specialty is, and it turns out that she's, like, a great erotic dancer. But instead of, like, her actually dancing, she, like, goes to a happy place when she dances. So, like, this music will start, and this girl will start to, like, slither in what I think is supposed to be a sexually attractive way. And then while she's dancing, she has these, like, uber feminism, like, you know, action scenes that are just cloying messes of everything that nerds would be like, that's cool. And yeah, World War I, okay, except they have this, like, giant fucking bunny rabbit shaped, like, mech. Let me just fucking find this.
Is this all going on the podcast, by the way?
I have no idea. That comes out in editing.
So, you know, so what's, here we go. All right. So yeah, this fucking thing is like a World War I goddamn mech that this chick, like, starts piloting. And they're fighting a bunch of Nazis, but they're not just
That's awesome.
Nazis. They're zombie Nazis, but they're not just zombie Nazis. They're like clockwork-powered steampunk zombie Nazis.
Johnny, it sounds like you just don't enjoy enjoyment.
No. The problem that you have here, the problem that Sucker Punch inevitably has, is that it is trying too hard. It's trying too hard to be accepted by a group of people who have nothing better to do with their time than spend money and obsess on shit. And it's not because Zack Snyder is like one of us. No, it's because he sees a market there. He's a businessman. And you can tell, anybody with half a brain who sits down and watches Sucker Punch can tell that he's not a geek, he's not a nerd, he has no fucking clue what he's talking about, but he thinks that if he throws in a giant samurai warrior with a chain gun, people are gonna go, oh my god, that's awesome! And it's just this lowest common denominator appeal to these mouth-drooling, like...
How else would you drool, Johnny? How else do you drool?
Okay, well, all right. I'm being a little superfluous there. That was unnecessary. Okay, so mouth breathing, like incessantly drooling, like mongoloids of nerds.
Sean.
Then just like obsess over terrible things that are presented in a stylish fashion. There's no substance to them. It is Sucker Punch is one of the most offensive appeals to nerddom I've ever had the misfortune of watching. And it absolutely laid clear every other movie that he's done is a pandering mess. I could go on.
You could. That's the scary thing, yeah.
That's the scary thing.
Okay, I will talk to you jerks later. This was a thing. This happened. I don't think we've seen so much dissent in the history of this show.
Yeah, there was a lot of argument in this episode.
Normally we just sit around and just tonguing each other because we're like the best friends.
Yeah.
This time,
there was some drama this week.
All right, bye guys.
Take care.
Later.